Hello and welcome to our Monday night WPC Kids on YouTube. If you're tuning in for the first time, you are so welcome. Or if you've been watching every week, I am so glad you are here with us this evening. We didn't have our Monday night programme last week because our boys and girls led us in our Sunday Children's Day service, and what a blessing it was. If you haven't watched that, can I encourage you to go back and watch our boys and girls point us so well to Jesus. Before we had our Children's Day, we were following a series called Old Testament Big Truths, and we looked at lots of Old Testament books in the Bible and we discovered big truths in them about God. We're still going to be learning about God, but over this next little while we're going to be doing a series called 5 Kings, and our adults are doing that series in church as well. If you didn't watch our live stream service yesterday, if you didn't see the children's talk at 10:45 on that, then can I encourage you to watch that before you watch any further this evening, because I'm going to be talking and assuming that you did watch that and that you kind of know the story of King Asa. It won't be the end of the world if you haven't watched that. You can even watch it after, but it will be helpful to you to have done that. And if you're a parent watching this evening and you didn't hear Stuart's sermon on King Asa and on the story of him from the Bible, then can I encourage you as well to do that? Maybe when the kids go to bed, instead of watching Netflix, stick on that sermon. It will do your heart so much more good than Netflix might. Alright, but we are here this evening to worship God, to learn about him, and to find out how we can do this life of being a follower of Jesus better. Alright, because that's what we always want to do, to be more like Jesus, to strive to be like him. But we need help to do that. We need God's help to do that, and we're going to try and figure this all out together. One thing that we are doing as a church at the minute is praying the words from 2 Chronicles chapter 7 verse 14. And boys and girls, we're going to use this as our memory verse, and it's so long, but we're going to be doing this for the whole next 5 weeks, alright? So instead of doing one verse every week, we are now just doing one verse for 5 weeks. So I am confident that by the end of these 5 weeks, we will have this memorized. And that means parents as well, you'll hopefully have it memorized. And when we wake up at 7:14 and the alarm goes off and we have to pray these words, we'll not have to try and read it from our phone screen. We'll hopefully just know them off by heart. We're going to learn some actions to them, but each week we're going to add actions on. We're going to say the whole thing every week, okay? Because the more I say it, the more you try to say it along with me, then the more it's going to go into our heads, alright? And I'm going to add actions every week. This week, boys and girls, we are thinking about how we should seek God, okay? We're thinking about how we should seek his face above everything, okay? And we should do that with all our heart and all our soul. And the story of King Asa is going to help us to learn that, and we're going to look at how we can to seek God. Okay, so let me bring up the words here for us. Okay, so our words are: if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sin and heal their land. Alright, so those are the words. As you can see, I have to read them as well. I haven't learnt them yet either, but we're going to learn them together, okay? The actions at the start of the verse and the very end of the verse we're going to do every week, okay? And that's just: if my people who are called by my name, okay? And you're just going to give yourself like this because it's talking about us, okay? So if my people who are called by my name, okay? Now we've got no actions now, okay, will humble themselves and pray, and then this is where our action this week comes in, because this is what we're thinking about, will seek my face, and you're going to put your glasses on like King Asa had on yesterday, okay, will seek my face, no actions again, and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will for, and this part here, we're just going to always, no matter what, say forgive their sin and heal their land. Okay, so start of it is like this, end of it is always like this, and then each week as we learn something new, we're going to add on another action, and this week's is seek his face. Okay, so let's say that all together, but we don't have actions for a lot of it just yet. By the time we get to week 5, we'll have actions all over the show, but we'll add those on as we go along. Okay, so let's say it all together. If you can read, then I expect you to be reading along. Okay, if you can't read, then please just listen and copy my actions and try and listen and learn the words. All right, here we go. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven. I will forgive their sins and heal their land. Let's do 2 Chronicles. We'll do 7. Okay, we'll always do this actually because this is another good action. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and actually that's easy because 7 and 7 is 14. So you just go chapter 7 verse 14. Okay, and just do it 7 twice because 7 and 7 is 14. All right, so 2 Chronicles 7, 14. All right. So we'll keep doing this every week. We don't need to panic about having it totally memorised this week, although challenge yourself if you want. There's some very, very smart boys and girls watching this evening, I know. But we'll learn this week after week, and then by week 5 we'll be able to say this all together with actions and without having to read any words like I had to this evening. All right? Listen, King Asa has been eating his dinner. Do you think I should go get him and see if he could do a quick recap of the story for us? I think that would be good. I think it would be good for him to join us this evening. Let me go get him. Dropping, 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 here the pennies fall. Everyone for Jesus, he shall have them all. Here he is, boys and girls. He has come to join us this evening. Was your dinner good? King Asa, where are your glasses? They're broken, but that is nothing to do with the fact that we should not seek the Lord. They're just broke. Excellent. It's good to know that the glasses have nothing to do with actually seeking the Lord, that we don't have to wear glasses to seek the Lord. Thank you for that reminder. But listen, I thought you could give the boys and girls a really, really quick recap of your story. Do you think you could do that? Yeah, but can we sing first? Yeah, I guess you can sing. What would you like to sing? Well, there's this song called Fit for the King. And I used to sing it way back years and years ago. And I really enjoyed it. Could we sing that? Yeah, I do know that song as well. I'm not sure the boys and girls know that song, but it is a good one. But Asa, when it's talking about fit for the king, does that mean that we have to be like super fit and go for lots of runs and do press-ups and everything? Are you laughing at me? No, it means that we have to train ourselves to be good for God. So we have to humble ourselves, we have to pray to God, we have to seek him, we have to do all the things, turn from our wicked ways, a bit like what 2 Chronicles says, to be fit for the king, to be good for the king, to live our lives for him. We have to be obedient, and that's what it means, not to do press-ups, although I am really good at press-ups. That is pretty impressive, King Asa. That's pretty good. Well, okay then. So let's sing Fit for the King. Are you going to sing it with us? Yeah. Okay. Let's hit play. Boys and girls, make sure you're up on your feet and let's sing together Fit for the King. Here we go.
You're gonna be fit for the King, giving your life to him. Fit for the King in every way. Heart, mind and soul, living your life for him. Fit for the King every
you enjoyed singing that song. Did you enjoy singing that song? Yeah, it's one of my favourites. Good job. Well, we'll maybe sing that again in the series by being fit for the King, giving our lives to him. That's what we want to think more about this evening. King Asa, do you reckon you could give us your really quick recap right now? And then we're going to try and understand your story a little bit better. Sound good? Sounds good. Here we go. Hello, my name is King Asa, and here is a quick recap of my story. I am the king, this is my castle, and I am in charge. The Bible tells you in 2 Chronicles 14, 15 and 16 my story. So if you want more details, you can read it there. One of the first things that I did whenever I was king is I got rid of all the idols. I did that because people were worshipping them instead of worshipping God. And I wanted the people to worship God. The Bible tells you that I wanted to seek God with all of my heart and soul. And that is true. At the start of my reign, that's what I wanted to do. One day, I had to go to war. And when I was there, I prayed to God, God, you're the most powerful. You can beat this enemy. And he did. But after the war, I started to take my eyes off God. But thankfully, a prophet came along and said, you need to turn back to God. And I did. I decided I wanted to give my all to God. And I commanded the people to do the same. We made a promise that we would seek God with all our hearts and souls. But not long after that, I started to walk away from God again. Another person called a seer, who's like a prophet, came along and said, you need to turn back to God. But this time, I was so angry and so did not want to turn back to God that guess what? I threw the seer in prison. And I got rid of him because I didn't want to turn back to God. I'm not quite sure why. I then got a really sore foot and it eventually killed me because it was diseased and infected. Boys and girls, learn from me to seek the Lord in all you do. That's been a quick recap of my story. Please watch me in yesterday's video on the Sunday live stream to find out more. Bye! Whoa, my goodness me, King Asa. That was a whistle-stop tour of your story. Thank you so much for doing that recap for us. We are going to look at your story a little bit deeper. And we're going to do it in 2 parts. What we're going to do is we're going to look at your reaction to the first prophet who came along. And then we're going to look at your reaction to the second prophet that came along. And we're going to try and learn from your story. But ultimately, we're going to try and teach the boys and girls about God, not really about you. How does that sound? Yeah, that sounds good. God's more important than me, always. Excellent. I'm glad you're on board with that. So when the first prophet came along and you had walked away from God and the prophet said, you need to turn back to God, you realised that that's what you needed to do. And you turned back to God. And in fact, you made a command that all the people had to promise to seek God with all of their heart and soul. That's what it says in 2 Chronicles chapter 15 verse 12, that the people had to enter this covenant. And that was a good thing to do. That was really good advice that you as the king give the people to seek the Lord with all of their heart and soul. And God gave you all rest and there was peace in your land and it was a really good time, right? Right. How King Asa did the people seek the Lord? How did you do that? Well, we prayed to God all the time. We worshipped him all the time. We gave all of our money and belongings to God and we didn't worship any other God. Excellent, that's pretty good advice. And I suppose our boys and girls, King Asa, could do the same. They could also seek the Lord. And they could do that in similar ways to you and your people did that. They could read their Bible. They could pray. They could worship. They could think about God, talk to God, think about Jesus. They could talk to other people about God and to other people about Jesus, and they could share the good news of Jesus, right? Right. So seeking the Lord is a really good thing to do. King Asa's story showed that in part 1. And boys and girls, the Bible tells us all the time that we should seek the Lord. We should turn to him. We should fix our eyes on him. We should think about him, pray to him, read about him, learn about him, so that we know God more and so that we can become more and more like Jesus. We're going to sing a song now that is called King of Majesty. It says, I have one desire, that is to know you more. This is a wee bit of a new song. We have done it before. We have done it at Shine before, but you might not know it. But really, really listen to the words, both kids and mums and dads, if you're listening along, because these words are our heart's cry to God as we sing and worship this song. And after this song, we're going to look at part 2 of your story. All right? Sounds good. Let's worship. Jump up on your feet and let's worship and sing this song together. Try and copy my actions if you want to, but just listen to the words and think about them because they are more important. Here we go. Super job, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed that song. Grab a seat so that we can get ready and listen to part 2 of King Asa's story. Great job singing, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed singing that song together. This is part 2 of King Asa's story. King Asa, after he had made that promise and the land was peaceful for years, then started to turn away from God again. King Asa, why do you think you did that? Well, I guess I just got distracted and I thought that there was better things in the world. I thought that money was better, all the gold and the silver. I wanted that all for myself. I thought that worshipping me was better. I thought that there was just better things to do than to seek the Lord. I know now that I was wrong, but I didn't change my mind while I was living on earth. Yeah, and when the second prophet came along to tell you that you needed to seek the Lord, you threw him in prison, didn't you? He said you need to change your ways, and you were so angry that you threw him in prison. That was a pretty crazy reaction. Yeah, well, I guess I was just so wrong. I just had my eyes so far away from God that I was doing crazy bad things. And I didn't realise how much I needed God. Do you know, King Asa, I know you feel bad about it, but I guess we can all be a little bit similar. Where we start off one day saying, yeah, I'm going to read my Bible every day. I'm going to pray to God all the time. And then we can get a wee bit distracted. The TV can be more appealing. We might want to watch another episode instead of doing our Bible story. We might want to play a game instead of praying. We might want to listen to different music instead of worshiping. And there's nothing bad with those things, but we have to put God first. We have to decide, actually, I'm going to seek the Lord in all I do, with all my heart and my soul. Because if we want to live for him, then we have to be obedient. We have to choose Jesus every day and to say, God, I am going to live for you today. And we have to make sacrifices ourselves. Even as boys and girls, we have to do that. Yeah, I guess you're right. And I just wasn't prepared to make sacrifices. And life turned. Things weren't great. The land was in a mess. I got this disease in my foot and it was really sore. And still I was too stubborn to turn to God. And I know that that's part of it too. Actually, for a lot of us, we can be too stubborn to turn to God. We can think, I know best. I know how to live my life best. But you know, Jesus died for us when we were in that stubborn mess, when we were being sinful, when we were turned away from God. Jesus died for us so that we could be set free. Yeah, that is amazing. It's so amazing that God was so good that even in our sinfulness, he sent Jesus to die for us, to take away our sin. We're going to stand again and sing a song called King of Kings. And it says, you are good, you are good. And I want you to really sing that out, that Jesus would be the King of our hearts. Whenever we are feeling like we want to walk away from God, that we would remember that Jesus is the King of our hearts, and we would be able to put Jesus as number one. And we will be so thankful that Jesus died on the cross for us. Let's stand and sing this song, and then we'll come back and pray together after this. It's so good to be able to learn a story from the Bible and be reminded of how God is so good to us. I'm not sure, boys and girls, if you really know this song. We definitely have sang it in church, but we maybe haven't just done it in Pathfinders or Discoverers as boys and girls. But it's a great song that reminds us that God is so good, but that we want to make Jesus the King of our hearts. Sing this with me. Try and sing the words. Don't worry too much about the actions. I will most likely get them wrong as well. I found this version. It's a bit of a remix version. It's a bit of a disco rave version. I have had the joy of having the loan of Sarah and Emma Fitzpatrick's disco lights, so I'm going to put those on now. I've dimmed my lights. Maybe you want to take a wee minute and get your room in darkness so that you can have a proper rave and party as we praise God for how good He is. Feel free to pause and do that, but it's not essential. Do not worry if you don't want to do that now. I'm going to switch my lights on now though. Here we go. Excellent, great job boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed worshipping together. Let's take some time to pray now and go back to King Asa and see how he can help us to pray. Good job, everybody. I hope you enjoyed singing that song and being reminded that God is so good. And I really hope that that can be your heart's cry over the next week. You are good, and I will seek you, God. We're going to take some time to pray together, and I'm going to let the girls in the family, so if that's mum or if there are girl children, then you guys have to pray. And here's a suggestion for you to pray, and I'll put the words up on the screen. King Asa, these are your words that you prayed when you were going into battle. Because sometimes our world can be a bit like a battle. Sometimes we can think we are going out into war because the enemy is at work in our world, and that's why there are sickness and death and fighting and riots that happen and all these things that are going wrong with our world. That's not how God intended it to be. We're maybe going to change a few words in this because you were going into a literal fight battle, okay? And that's not really what our boys and girls are going into every day, okay? But we're going to change some words if that's all right. Yep, sounds good to me. But this is from 2 Chronicles chapter 14, verse 11. And I'll put these up on the screen, and then after I've read them, you guys can pause and say them together as a family. The girls can lead that, but if you all want to say it, you go for it, okay? Here's what it says. Lord, there is no one like you to help the powerless against the mighty. See, we are powerless without Jesus, okay? And we are facing this world, but we need Jesus. It then says, help us, Lord our God, for we rely on you. We can't do this in our own strength. It then says, and in your name we have come against this vast army. And instead of vast army, we could say against this virus, against this world, against this fighting, against anything that's going on in our world. We can say, God, we come against it in your name. And it finishes by saying, Lord, you are our God. And you can finish by saying that all together. Lord, you are our God. We want to praise you. We want to seek you. We want to turn to you. I'll put the words up on the screen for you. You can use them if you want to as your prayer, or say your own prayer would be great as well. Enjoy. I hope you were able to enjoy some time praying together as a family. Before we finish, let me remind you to tune in on Thursday for Thursday Thoughts, where I think King Asa and Rue will have a conversation. That could be interesting. Not too sure how that's going to go. Would you like to meet Rue? Yeah, he is pretty cheeky. I've heard he's cheeky too, but we'll see how that goes. Oh no, I don't have any sweets. I forgot to get some sweets. Do you have any sweets? Silly question. The castle always has sweets. Be right back. Excellent. Fantastic. Would you like to throw them to the boys and girls? Yeah, I think so. Okay, here we go. Here's some for, let's see who's gonna catch them this time. Oh, Anna and Ella, good job. Hopefully the Tilly will get some there too. Oh, your crown fell into the bag. Let's remove that. Maybe you could throw your crown at somebody. Oh no, I don't think that made it to anybody, unfortunately. Okay, let's see who we've got next. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, Isaac and Charlie, fantastic. Hope you're keeping well, boys. Okay, final few sweets. It needs to be a big throw. Let's see who gets them. Oh, super job, Isabella and Alfie. So glad you caught them. Hope you're both keeping well too. You're both looking like you've been enjoying the sunshine. Great job. Boys and girls, it's been great to be with you. King Asa has really enjoyed it too. We hope to see you again soon. Tune in next week where we're going to learn another king. Keep learning our memory verse, keep thinking about our story, and keep seeking God. Love you all. Say bye. Bye.